again, Spence. Good morning, Christina. Glad you guys found me again. Pre-coffee brain blip. I ended the broadcast that was already streaming for some reason. I thought I was going live, but I hadn't realized I had already gone live. It was weird. It was weird. My brain no worky. Hi, Cat Leo. We're going to talk about fear today. Fear of what? I don't know. What that's supposed to mean in this context. So I'm going to do this thing, and then I'm going to hop in my car and I'm going to drive to North Carolina. Provided I get an address. We've been talking in Twitter and like all back and forth like all the time, and it occurs to me I still don't have an address. I just have a town. So hey hiya hoa Jace, how you doing today, love? Let me break out. Hi, Allie. It's nice to see everybody. Like, 5 minutes before I start, which means notification bells are being rung, which is good. It is good. Meow, meow, meow. Yeah, so the first one was a mishap on my part. This is the second one. Yeah. I botched the first one. The video is like a minute long, so I'll have to go on YouTube and like take it down. Actually, let me do that while I have time. So I'll have to go on YouTube and let's see here. I don't get notifications for myself. Live now. Okay. Let's try something here. Switch account. And go to YouTube Studio. This one ended 7 minutes ago, so it yeah, I would like to delete that one. Live. Oh, okay, yeah, it's the right one. Delete forever. Yes, I understand it's premium. Okay, cool. Boop. Start training on the 26th. Very cool. one more minute, then I'll do the thing. There's a book. A book full of... I'm surprised that I haven't put any... I don't know. I think I should probably note the Mask Magic chapter. Mask Magic. I haven't read anything that noted tagging it. Okay. Joyous time zones, my Sako-nauts. I'm Sako Toomey, also known as the Witch of Tylwyth, and today we are talking about fear in Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. Oh, I should do a closer too, shouldn't I? Happy Ostara. Is it Ostara already? Or are we counting like today, tomorrow, and the day after is Ostara? I thought it was the 21st. Or is it just first day of spring is Ostara? Whatever that means for the year. I would like to start today with a meditation. Oh, I know what to do. We did the solar plexus yesterday. Let's do weekend cycle. And I have a Sunday thing, so I guess occasional Saturdays. But yes, happy Ostara. Closely intertwined with our pleasure center, this is our overall satisfaction. Are you afraid of getting close to new people or experiences? Let us tap into the sacral chakra. Sit with your hands in your lap and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it for a moment. And as you let it out completely through your mouth, let go of the tension from the night and the grogginess of the morning. Take another deep breath in. And as you breathe in, imagine you are breathing in pure love. As you breathe out, imagine you are breathing out forgiveness. Take a third deep breath in, and as you do so, imagine a light coming in at the top of your head. It enters at the top of your head and it spreads down over your face, neck, and shoulders. This cleansing light now expands along your back, down your legs, and out through your feet. It is as if cleansing light is a constant flow of soothing energy entering from your head and passing out through the arches of your feet. Allow the earth to rise up to catch you. Feel yourself in the present moment and know that you are loved and supported. Notice the stillness of the earth, the perfectly smooth line that you are sitting on. Let that line become your horizon and your freedom. At this moment, you are free. You are on a beach covered in black coral. The water is an aquamarine color, and the breeze brings a chill across your skin. Look down at yourself. Come to realize there is a large orange right below your navel. Is it sweet or sour? Can you taste it? Let your inner vision blur. The orange grows and blurs out. You cannot see the orange clearly anymore. Cast it into the ocean and watch as it dissipates, turning the light waves orange and bright, as though the sun itself crashed into the ocean. Step into the waves. This ocean spreads through your body. Feel a wave run down your thighs into your calves and all the way to your toes. Another wave comes and a gust of water rushes up your spine and runs down your arms to your fingers and all the way up your neck to your head. Feel the sweet, salty taste of the water in your mouth. It is warm and comforting. The waves have your back. You are free like the ocean that is now within you. You are free. Take one more deep breath in and begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. When you are ready, open your eyes. If you're just welcome, it's welcome. If you are just joining us, we just did a sacral meditation, nice cleansing sacral meditation. Every day I have a different meditation for the day of the week. So if you don't like today's, you can always come to Sundays. Tomorrow. No. Monday. This Sunday I am doing a tarot thing with Zara. Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a most magnificent day. I hope today is magnificent because I need that drive is gonna be a bitch. I wish Waze worked on my phone. My GPS is all jacked up. So I can get Google Maps to do my bidding, but I'm still in bed. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're with me even in bed. I wish I was still in bed. Getting up was hard. Probably because I was up until like 2:30 in the morning talking to Sage and Savvy and Mercer. Though Mercer was clicking their pen constantly, and that's driving me batty. Doing it right into the mic. Sounds like a good day to me so far. Yeah. All right. I'm going to call this shuffled the star. Ooh. I guess technically it's reversed. So let's see what the star reversed is. I hope you guys haven't lost hope. It's supposed to be gorgeous outside all weekend, and most of my online stuff is canceled except for my writing stream. It's like someone wants me to be outside. All right. The clouds have covered the night sky, and you've lost sight of the North Star that has been guiding you on this journey. You're trying to find your way out of the darkness and feel discouraged by the lack of light. There is a distrust of the universe as you are faced with tribulations and setbacks. You were feeling inspired and now feel overwhelmed by the tasks at hand. Instead of excitement, you are filled with the drudgery of managing your ideas. It's not quite as glamorous as you may have pictured. This is a test of faith to see how far you are willing to overcome and see your vision through. If you are willing to put in the work, you will come out of this a much stronger person than when you started. Persevere through the darkness, and you will eventually see the light. Feeling a little cold out. Hi, Bonnie. Glad you could join us this morning. Getting the fear. Initiatory states bring with them varying degrees of fear. One of the characteristics of macroscopic initiations is that suddenly our current repertoire of coping strategies are useless. If something into which we have invested a good deal of emotional commitment and self-esteem is directly threatened or removed, and we are placed in a position of being unable to do anything about this, fear is often the dominant emotion. Fear is the bodily gnosis which reinforces any emotional and cognitive patterns which serve us to hold change at bay. Fear is basically an excitatory state, the fight-flight reflex of the autonomic nervous system firing up. Using the emotional engineering techniques described in the previous chapter, you can deconstruct fear into excitement, which can then be used to gather momentum for moving over a threshold into change rather than reinforcing your own resistance. Relax into fear. This is a process of orienting yourself so that you are sufficiently open to all different possibilities that each moment of experience that each moment of experience offers, enmeshed in the world in an attitude of receptive wonder. This is the knowledge that at any time, without warning, any life event could spin you sideways into illumination. The suddenness of such an experience is one of the underlying themes encapsulated in the great god Pan. Pan represents creative derangement, the possibility of moving from one state to another, from ordinary perception to divine inspiration. Pan can leap upon you at any time, any place, with the sudden realization that everything is alive and significant. In such an experience, physical arousal is a strength rather than a weakness. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable to the possibility of change means letting into your life wild magic and the power of surprises. Initiatory, yeah, I'm saying that right. Initiatory states often tip us into mental entropy and confusion. And this is a good time to free yourself from the bonds of the past and the fetters of anticipated futures, and live in the now of your physical presence. Transform fear into wonder and open yourself to new possibilities. Transform fear into fuel and imagine the thresholds and personal demons which hinder movement. This state is a form of ecstasy, a word which means away from stillness, implying some kind of agitation. Easier said than done, am I right? Sahaja. Sahaja is a Sanskrit word that can be translated as spontaneity. If you can relax within initiatory periods, abandoning all set routines and learned responses, you can act with a greater degree of freedom. Periods of initiation can be looked upon as windows of opportunity for major work upon yourself. So what kind of techniques are appropriate here? I know. Anything that enables you to make shifts in your achievable reality threshold. Procedures from NLP, Vivation, bioenergetics, or the various psychotherapies might be useful. Recognition that you are entering a threshold of change is all important. It is difficult to intentionally propel yourself into such states, particularly as at some point during the experience it is necessary to surrender control. A couple years ago, I was trying so hard to do shadow work, and because I'm ready. I was ready for a change in my life. I was ready for a new view of things, and especially regarding myself, right? And I actually got called out by a couple of diviners saying, don't do shadow work for the sake of doing shadow work. Like, if you're, that stuff, you've got to come by that stuff honestly. It's not something that you control. And I was like, damn. I still haven't had that revelation, but we'll see. The initiatory crisis tends to drive home, often very forcefully, the awareness of the fragility of the day-to-day experiences and of the hidden complexity behind that which we have taken for granted as normal. We have become addicted to a sameness of experience and thus have difficulty coping with novelty or change, if you say so. Hence the tendency, when faced with a crisis, to rely on learned habits rather than actually observing the situation. Conversely, the magician has to recognize that there may well be an abyss around every corner, and that what rushes full tilt at us must be faced head on. In time, you will come to recognize that you have your own personal cycles of initiation, peaks, troughs, and plateaus, you may well come to recognize that you are about to enter an initiatory period and brace yourself accordingly. Inner world confrontations. Many world myths feature the descent into the underworld as a central theme for transformation and the quest for power and mastery of self. The recognition of the necessity of rites of passage is played out both in tribal societies where the death of childhood and the rebirth into adulthood is marked by a rite of passing, and in Western magical and religious societies where followers are reborn into a new selfdom. Death by dismemberment is a strong recurrent theme in shamanic cultures, where proto-shamans are stripped of their flesh and torn apart by spirits only to be remade anew, usually with some additional part, such as an extra bone, organ, or crystal as an indication that they are now something more than previously. In some cultures, such as Tibetan tantric chod ritual, the dismemberment experience is a voluntary meditation, whereas in others it is involuntary, though understood experience. This kind of transition is not uncommon in Western approaches to magical development, both as a willed technique and as seemingly spontaneous experience that results from working within a particular belief system. I have, for example, been burnt alive in the pyre of Kali, and more recently had an eye ripped out by the Morrigan. Periodic descents into the underworld are a necessary phase in the cycle of personal development and is also associated with depth psychotherapy. According to the Western esoteric tradition, one of the key stages of initiatory confrontation is the encounter with the dweller on the threshold. Less prosaically, this phrase refers to the experience of our understanding of the gulf between the ego's fiction of itself and ourselves as we truly are. This necessitates the acceptance of light into the dark corners of the self, and the acceptance of our shortcomings, blind spots, and personal weaknesses as aspects of ourselves that we must take responsibility for. The recognition that we are ultimately responsible for all aspects of ourselves, especially those bits which we are loath to admit to ourselves, is a step that must be taken if the initiatory journey is to proceed. It is not uncommon for people to remain at this stage for years, or to come back to it time and time again. Such ordeals must be worked through, or they will return to haunt us as obsessional complexes, or i.e. demons, that will grow until they have power over us. There are a myriad of techniques, both magical exercises and psychotherapeutic tools, which can be actively used to examine these complexes, but the core of this ordeal is the beginning of seeing yourself. In shamanic cultures, physical isolation from the tribe is often reinforced by physical ordeals such as fasting, sleep deprivation, and exposure to rigors of heat or cold, all powerful techniques for producing altered states of consciousness. The initiatory cycle can be likened to a snake sloughing off its skin. So too, we must be prepared to slough off old patterns of thought, belief about ourselves and the world, and behavior that is no longer appropriate for the new phase of our development. As we reach the initiatory stage of descent into the underworld, so we are descending into the deep mind, learning to rely on our own intuition about what is right for us, rather than what we have been told is correct. As the initiatory process becomes more and more intense, we reach a point where we have, to varying degrees, isolated ourselves from the social world, physically or mentally, and begun to dismember the layer of our personal world so that the mythic world becomes paramount in our consciousness, perhaps in an intensely real way that it has not been beforehand. She just gives me a happy face instead of an address. Oh, there we go. Okay. Let's see, where was I? I don't know where I was. When we open up the floodgates of the mythic world, we may find that our deep mind speaks to us using what psychologists call auto-symbolic images, that is, symbols which reflect the churnings within us. These may well be entities or spirits from magical or religious belief systems that we have consciously assimilated, or they may arise spontaneously from the deep mind. These entities, whatever their source, may become the first of our allies or guides through the inner worlds that we have descended into. Okay. Accounts of shit. Sorry about that. These entities, whatever their source, may become the first of our allies or guides through the inner worlds that we have descended into. Accounts of shamanic initiation often recount the neo-shaman being tested in various ways by spirit guides and helpers, who, if she or he passes the testing, become allies that the shaman can call upon on returning from the underworld. Not all of the spirits one meets will be helpful or benign. Some will try to mislead you or misdirect you. In this kind of instance, you will need to rely even more on your own truth sense or discrimination. Ghosts are notoriously capricious, and an elder brother once told me to be wary of spirits which herald a false dawn under the dark moon. Particular misguides to watch out for are the spirits who tell you that you are mystically illuminated beyond a point that anyone else has reached. They are parts of the ego attempting to save itself from destruction. You may have to overcome some of these spirits, not so much by defeating them in astral combat, but by recognizing that they have no power over you, that you understand their seductions and will not be swayed. The danger here harkens back to the necessity of attempting to shed light on as many of your buried complexes as possible. Misguided spirits will attempt to seduce you into feeding those complexes so that you can become caught up in them. Spirit guides and helpers usually come in a variety of forms and shapes. Their messages may not always be obvious and may only become clear with hindsight. Yeah, ain't that the fucking truth? All right, hold on. This is getting nuts. I'll be rolling in about an hour, give or take, to get smokes and stuff. So ETA should be 4 to 5. All right, let's try this again. Where was I? This is hard time to get through, but if you keep your wits about you and hang on in, then the rewards are worth it. Guides will often show you secret routes through the underworld and places of power which you can access at a later point. Some Amarand traditions involve the shaman descending into the underworld periodically to learn the names of spirits which, when brought out again, can be placed in masks or other ritual objects. Another benefit of the ordeal stage is inner world mapping, obtaining or verifying a symbolic plan of connecting worlds that form the universe. Western occulture gives us conscious access to a wide variety of universal route maps, the Tree of Life being just one well-known example. Western-derived maps seem to have a tendency to become very complicated very quickly. Perhaps this reflects a cultural tendency to try to label everything neatly away. The interesting and intriguing thing about using inner world maps is that you can metaprogram your deep mind to accept a number of different maps. Images and symbols will arise accordingly. Our tradition for receiving inner world maps, and indeed any other esoteric teaching, is largely through the written word, rather than oral teaching or the psychoactively inspired communion with the tribal meme pool, which are the most common routes for shamans. It is worth remembering that all the inner world maps had to come from somewhere, and the most likely source would seem to be initiatory ordeals of very early shamans, which eventually became condensed into definite structures. Illumination, which I think is the last. Yep, we've only got like a page and a half left. The peak of the initiation experience is that of death and rebirth and subsequent illumination. That such an experience is common to all mystery religions, magical systems, and many secular movements indicates that it may well be one of the essential manifestations of the process of change within the human psyche. Illumination is the much desired goal for which many thousands of people worldwide have employed different psychotechnologies and developed their own psychocosms. Illumination has also been linked with the use of LSD and similar drugs, and perhaps most mysteriously of all, it can occur seemingly spontaneously to people who have no knowledge or expectation of it. What characterizes an experience of illumination? Some of the prevalent factors are, lots of deep stuff today, right? A sense of unity, a fading of the self-other divide. Number 2, transcendence of space and time as barriers to experience. Number 3, positive sensations. Number 4, a sense of numinous. Number 5, a sense of certitude, the realness of the experience. Number 6, paradoxical insights. Number 7, transience, the experience does not last. Number 8, resultant change in attitude and behavior. In neurological terms, such experiences represent a reorganization of activity in the brain as a whole. The loss of ego boundary and the involvement of all senses suggests that the reticular formation is being influenced so that the processes which normally convey a sense of being rooted in space-time are momentarily inhibited. The floating sensation, often associated with astral projection and other such phenomena, suggests that the limbic system of the brainstem, which processes They split the word, and it's not a common word anyway. Proprioceptive. It's a weird word. Information about the body's location in space is also acting in an unusual mode. What are the fruits of this experience? The insights, perceptions, and messages brought back to Earth by the Illuminate. Evolution of consciousness by such means could well be an important survival program, a way of going beyond the information given, or learning how to modify the human biosystem via the environment. Bleh. Ilya Prigognine's theory of dissipative structures shows how the very instability of open systems allows them to be self-transforming. The basis of this idea is that the movement of energy... You don't want me to spell this. Away. Such means be well. Hold on. Evolution of consciousness by such means could well be an important survival program, a way of going beyond information given, of learning how to modify the human biosystem via environment. Ilya Prigogine, theory of dissipative structures shows how the very instability of open systems allows them to be self-transforming. The basis of this idea is that the movement of energy through a system causes fluctuations, which, if they reach a critical level, i.e. catastrophic cusp point, she wants me to leave a little bit here. Okay. The basis of this idea is the movement of energy through a system of fluctuations, which, if they reach a critical level, i.e. catastrophic cusp point, develop novel interactions until a new whole is produced. The system then reorganizes itself into a new higher order, which is more integrated into the previous system, requires a greater amount of energy to maintain itself, and is further disposed to future transformation. This can equally apply to neurological evolution, using a psychotechnology, ancient or modern, as the tool for change. The core stages of process appear to be: number 1, change; number 2, crisis; number 3, transcendence; number 4, transformation; number 5, predisposition to further change. Also, the term illumination is itself significant. Visions of light that suddenly burst forth from the individual are well documented from a wide variety of sources, from shamanic travelers to St. Paul, from acid trippers to people who seemingly have the experience spontaneously. Similarly, the experience of being born again is central to shamanism, religions, and magical systems. One's old self dies, and a new one is born from the shattered patterns and perceptions. This is well understood in cultures where there is a single predominant mythic reality. Death rebirth is the key to shamanic development, and many shamanic cultures interpret the experience quite literally, rather than metaphorically. Western psychologists are only just beginning to understand the benefits of such an experience. For many people who undergo the experience, it is unsettling and disturbing, especially when there is no dominant culture backdrop with which to explain or understand the process. A good example, which always raises hackles in some quarters, is the LSD death rebirth experience. Some Western authorities on spiritual practice hold that Drug-induced experiences are somehow not as valid as ones triggered by spiritual practices. Fortunately, this is somewhat valid as ones triggered by... Fortunately, this somewhat blinkered view is receding as more information about the role played by psychoactive substances and shamanic training is brought to light. The positive benefits of LSD have been widely proclaimed by people as diverse as Aldous Huxley, Timothy Leary, and Stanislav Grof, all of whom stressed that acid should be used in controlled conditions rather than, as is so often the case today, indiscriminately. It must be borne in mind that the action and effects of LSD, like other psychoactives, are highly dependent upon individual beliefs and expectations, and social conditioning. If you have had it, it is not forgettable. Absolutely. Dropping acid can lead to lasting change and transformation in positive sense. Yeah. Equally, it can lead to uncritical acceptance of a set of beliefs and patterns that effectively wall one off from further transformations. Witness the number of burnt-out acid heads who become born-again evangelicals. Oh my God. For instance, it's not so much the experience itself, but how one assimilates it in terms of cultural expectations. As an example of how this process operates, contrast a proto-shaman against a number of postmodern industrial cultures such as our own. The proto-shaman undergoes death rebirth, and following Illumination is reborn into the role of a practicing shaman with all its subsequent status affiliations and expectations. Would that it were so as simple for Westerners. Ours is a much more complex set of social relations than the tribal environment. Though one might be tempted to think of oneself as a shaman in the making, it's a safe bet that not everyone else is going to exceed that role to you. It's tempting and entirely understandable to think, right, that's it, I'm illuminated now, I've been there, done that, etc., and sit back on one's laurels, as it were. While for some of us, one death rebirth experience is enough to jolt us into a new stage of development, it's more often the case that what we do afterwards is critically important. Zero states of having made it are very seductive, but our conditioning patterns are insidious, creeping back into the psyche while our minds are occupied somewhere else. The price of transformation is eternal vigilance against being lulled back into conditioned beliefs and emotional and mental patterns that we think we have overcome. Illumination may well be a peak in our development, but it isn't the end point by any means. Those undergoing the initiation cycle in the West tend to find that many periodic death rebirth experiences are necessary as we reshuffle different bits of the psyche with each occurrence. Yet the death rebirth experience can bring about lasting benefits, including the elevation of a wide variety of emotional, interpersonal, and psychosomatic problems that hitherto have resisted orthodox treatment regimes. I would postulate that the death rebirth experience is an essential form of adaptive learning, as it is a powerful process of widening our perspectives on life, our perceptions of the world, and of each other. Almost always it's the death of something in us. Absolutely. The illuminary insights move us toward a holotropic perspective, i.e. of moving towards a whole, whereby new insights about self in relation to the universe and how ideas and concepts synthesize together can be startlingly perceived. Blah, blah, blah. At this kind of turning point in our lives, we can go beyond what we already know and begin to manifest new concepts and constructs. We are all capable of the vision. What we do to realize that vision is equally in our hands. One more paragraph and then we're done with this book. Gnosis. Related to the experience of illumination is the term gnosis, which can be read on different levels. First, gnosis is that peak experience of no mind, no one-pointedness, or samadhi, which is the high point of any route into magical trance. Second, gnosis can be understood as the knowledge of the heart, perceptions that are difficult to express in language yet can be grasped and shared. This is the secret language of magic. To grasp the meaning, you have to go through the experience first. Gnosis is not merely an act of understanding. It is understanding which impels you to act in a certain way. Thus, as you work with magic, so magic works upon you. Such is the nature of chaos. And then there's a list of books, and then we're done. That was Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. But that's the whole idea, is that it's always a death within us, and then we have to be reborn out of it. Stretchy time. Oh, I'm out of coffee. Me. Maybe I can take a nap before I go. Because she said she wanted me there. Let's see. I know, right? If you'd like to head out a little later to be closer to the 5 time, that would be awesome for me. One of the housekeeping ladies that works on my floor at Duke is having a birthday gathering today. I am the only nurse she invited. Oh, and I've got to swing by. She's truly wonderful. Her party is starting around 3 or 4, and even though I'm vaccinated, and so is she and everyone else we work with, I'm still leery of crowds. And I'm planning on arriving before pretty much anyone else and leaving quickly. I have no issue with being fashionably early. Hooray! I'll do what I can. I think I can take a nap between 11 and noon. Or run my errands. Yes, have a great day, Bonnie. Yeah, that was Condensed Chaos. I would say it's a good starting point, but it's a little chunky. It's a little chunky. It's a little chunky. Though, you know what? You've been cleaning. Great chapter. Who am I? What's going on here? So we will start on Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. It was well over my head at times. Feeling like a teeter-totter in life right now, so there's that. Uncover the secrets to becoming the powerful psychic witch. Popular writer and witch Matt Oren reveals his most closely guarded tips, practices, and meditations for unlocking your psychic abilities and elevating your witchcraft into exciting new territory. Featuring over 90 exercises, this groundbreaking book helps your magic and your senses reach their full potential. Witchcraft and psychism are two sides of the same coin. They complement and strengthen one another. Psychic Witch provides everything you need to not only master the perception and manipulation of energy, but also to perform magic anywhere and at any time. This ingenious book teaches you how to use subtle energy in new ways and manifest your perceptions into instant magical results. Okay. So I will pack those things. And then Monday we will talk about it. Oh, ding. Nope, it'll be just me. All right. Oh, no sooner do I turn away. No sooner do I turn away. Wow. Bye. As soon as I acknowledge I'm awake, I have to start doing a whirlwind of party prep. Can't wait until next year when we can go back to the pizza place for that. Yeah, I know what you mean. And Allie Deathridge is streaming right now, I bet. All right, I love you guys. If you liked today's video at any point, and I know it was chunky, please hit the like button, and you are all subscribed with the notifications and all of that stuff. So I will catch you guys on the flip side.